All right, there is no pre-lesson for this section 2.2, day 2. This is more algebra with a little bit of graphing mixed in. So you guys should be pretty comfortable with this without too much need of a pre-lesson. So this says find all the zeros. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means we're going to set y equal to 0. So we're going to go like this, and we're going to discover where this happens. And if this doesn't take you back to Algebra 2 and Algebra 1, I don't know what will. But we're just going to factor this, x plus 4, x minus 2. And we're going to get negative 4 or 2. So these would be referred to as our zeros. Now just so you know, if I was to graph this, it would cross my x-axis at negative 4, 0, and 2, 0. So it's a parabola, so it would probably look something like this. I'm just giving you the inside scoop. It doesn't say to graph it, but that's what you're finding, okay? And yeah, once again, you can type this into Desmos just to find out how accurate I was over here. But all right, let's move on over here. So same sort of deal. We got a trinomial. We're going to factor it. Now this is a 3. So I know this is going to be 3x and this is going to be x. And I got to somehow manipulate this trinomial so I end up with 10x. So you see this 3? I have a choice. I can put a 1 here and a 3 here, or I can flip those and put the 3 here and the 1 here. Now this is all pluses, so I know it's like this. Well, if I FOILed it, I'd get 6x and 6x. Excuse me, 3x and 3x is 6x. That's not what I want. So I'm going to move these around and hope for the best, and voila, 9x plus 1x gives me my 10x. Now this is equal to 0, so I say, all right, this is the easy one. What plus 3 is 0? Negative 3. How do I do this? Well, my trick is, well, just to show you on this one, if you just literally set equal to 0 and then solve it, I'd get 3x is negative 1, divide by 3, divide by 3. I get x is negative 1/3. So there's my 2 zeros right there. What's the trick? Take the opposite of this, so that's a positive 1. What's the opposite? Negative 1, and then put it over that. It's just a little trick, okay? This one's a little unique because I look right away and I can factor out an x. So here we go. By the way, we have a cubic. The last two were quadratics. So notice if this is a 2, I got 2 zeros. Anyways, if this is a 3, I'm going to get 3 zeros. Take an x out, I'd be left with 2x squared plus x minus 3. Not done factoring because I can factor this now. That x comes along for the ride. And now I need a 1x when I'm all done. So I'm going to put minus 1 here and plus 3 here. Now don't worry about this x out here, because if I FOILed it, I'd get 2x squared, ding, 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 ding. Negative 2x and positive 3x would give me my positive 1x, and then negative 3. So you can see I factored it correctly. Now I just need to solve it. So what value would cause this whole thing to be 0? Right here, 0. How about this one? A 1. Let's use my trick. Take the opposite of this. Whoa, wow. Negative 3, put it over that, 2. There's my zeros. Okay, notice, highest power was a 3. I got 3 zeros. Keep that in mind. All right, once again, I can look at this and go, wait a minute, I can take an x out, so I'm left with x squared minus 9. This is a difference of 2 squares, if you remember that from back in the day. So that's x minus 3, x plus 3. And now we figure out what our zeros are. Well, for that one it'd be 0, this one would be 3, this one would be negative 3. 3 zeros. Now this one's going to be more of like a review problem from 2.2 day 1. So let's just dive into this thing. The first thing we're going to do is factor this if we have to, but guess what? It's already factored. So I know that one of my zeros is going to be 0. I know my other 0 is going to be negative 2, but wait a minute. got to look at the details. I know I've already smudged this up a little bit, but I'm going to erase this, make my arrow right here. This is a little 1. So what that means is, at this 0, it's going to go through the x-axis. But at this 0, it's going to bounce. Now let's go over these rules. Is this a cubic or is this a quartic? And the way I teach it is, ignore everything except your x's. So I got x squared times x, but this one's negative. So I really get negative x cubed, which tells me it's a cubic. And because it's negative, I get a is less than 0. What do I know about that? I know that it's going to go like this. That's just the way they are, okay, generally speaking. So how am I going to use this? I'm going to use this because I'm going to plot my zeros. One of them is 0. One of them is negative 2, which is right here. This is negative 1, negative 2. This is 1, that's 2, 1, 2, 3, etc. And so now I know from here, now you got to listen now, from 0 it goes through it because of that silly little 1, which is called odd multiplicity. So I know it's going to go like this, and I know it's going to go like this. Now wait a minute. Because of that 2, we call that even multiplicity, which means it's going to bounce off here. So I know right away it's got to go like this. Now notice this has to go through it. So it could be flat. It could go way up here. It could go halfway up. We don't know. So this is 0. This is negative 2. What's the halfway point? Negative 1. So we're going to let x equal negative 1, and we're going to plug it in here. So I'd get negative 1. Then I'd get negative 1 plus 2 squared. That's what f of x is. So if I just do the math, this is positive 1. This is negative 1 plus 2, which is 1. 1 squared is 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. So that tells me that this goes up to 1. So it goes like this, up, and then it goes through down there. And there we have the graph. Okay, so let's sketch the graph. I kind of did that first. Well, what degree is this? 3. We discovered that over here and we said it was a cubic. What are the zeros? Well, that'd be 0 and negative 2. Multiplicity for the 0, that would be an odd. For the negative 2, that would be even, which means we would bounce off the x-axis, and this means we would go through it. We've already talked about it, but I just want to talk about it again. All right, flip it. Now we're going to do the math backwards. Now they're giving us the zeros, and they're saying find the cubic function. And it says use algebra. In other words, all right, watch. If those are my zeros, then it would have had to have looked something like this. See, we're doing it a little bit backwards. X plus 3. Okay? And I wish they would have let us just leave us alone, but pre-calc is going to make you practice some crazy algebra. So we're going to FOIL this out, believe it or not. So that'd be out first, x squared. I'm going to go outside and inside and get negative 1x. Last is negative 2. And now I've got to multiply that by x plus 3. And I like, when it gets crazy like this, I like to use the old 3 by 2 box. So x squared minus x minus 2. This is just helping us stay organized. So this would be x cubed minus x squared minus 2x. 3x squared, I'm just multiplying, negative 3x minus 6. So my final answer would be f of x equals, here's my highest term, x cubed. There's some like terms there, add them together, 2x squared. There's some more like terms, minus 5x, and then this guy's all by itself. And I'm done. Now I really need you to pay attention to something. See, my 0 was a 2, but I wrote x minus 2. My 0 was a negative 1, I wrote x plus 1. See, that's a negative 3. I wrote x plus 3. That's going to be very significant when I get down here. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But let's go over here, because this is very similar to this. This is just going to be more of a kind of an algebra nightmare. So I'm going to do the math up here. So I'm going to go g of x equals x minus the square root of 2, x plus the square root of 2, and then x minus 2. And again, I got to multiply this out. Now, if you remember, fancy phrase about this, this is called a these two are called conjugates. So if I FOILed it out, I can see that if I went outside and inside, my outside and inside would just cancel. So I get a little silly with my classes and I say, you can just foo. See that? So what's x times x? That'd be x squared. What's a negative times a positive? Negative. What happens to square root of 2? Square root of 2? That's 2. But I still need to multiply that by x minus 2. I don't really need one of these fancy boxes because this is just a binomial times a binomial. So I get x cubed minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 4 equals g of x. Okay, I need your full attention for this crazy looking thing down here, okay? Now, I'm going to go back up to here because I said I would. So I'm going to start with this first 0. And I'm going to do this slightly different. I'm going to show my work by saying I take that 0 and I subtract it. Then this one, I subtract it. Then this one, I subtract it. And I have a question. Wouldn't this turn into this and this turn into this? So that's kind of the rule. Why am I talking about it? Because these are super bizarro, so I need to know a rule. So it starts with this one. I'm going to go h of x for this final one, and I'm going to take that 0 and I'm going to subtract it. Now this is where it gets weird. I'm going to take the next one. This is where it's good to have brackets because I'm going to take this 0 and I'm going to subtract all of it. I'm going to do the same thing for that last one. Subtract 1 minus the square root of 3. Now this is nothing but an algebra nightmare. And I've got 2.5 minutes, so I need to fly. So x minus 1, and then this turns into x, distribute, minus 1 minus the square root of 3. This one turns into x minus 1 plus the square root of 3. Very easy to make a small mistake. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with these monsters and see what happens. So algebra, trinomial times a trinomial. X minus 1 negative square root of 3, x minus 1 plus the square root of 3. So that's x squared, negative x square root of 3. Negative x plus 1, positive square root of 3. X square root of 3, negative square root of 3. Negative times a positive is negative. So roots fly off 3. Now I go looking for some like terms. So that'd be x cubed minus 2x. Look at these. They cancel. And then these cancel. And then 3 and 1 gives me 4. And I still have to multiply that by x minus 1. I make my final box. This is 2, so I went 2 down. This is 3, so I went 3 across. Whoops, that's just a 4. All right, so this is x to the 4th, negative 2x squared, 4x, negative x cubed, 2x, negative 4. Again, look for like terms. Start with your highest power. So h of x equals x to the 4th minus x cubed, because that's alone. That's alone, minus 2x squared. Now we got some like terms finally. Plus 6x minus 4. Finally done. Look at that. 30 seconds to spare. Good luck on that assignment. These are doozies. Not hard, just a lot of work.